Okay, I think we are live now. Let me see. I think we are live. We are live. We are. Don is on here. Okay. Hello guys, how's it going? This is Paul from Flutter Ferry. Today we'll be talking about the authentication part of our app, because last time we were building just the UI and just doing stuff, some UI stuff like that. But today we are going to go deeply into the functionalities and the APIs, which we are going to be using a backend as service, which is Firebase. We are going to use Firebase for as a saver and as our database. Following this project, you should be on the master branch too, and just git pull and you get everything you need. So to be sure that you're in the master branch, we just only have two folders on the screens here, which is the authentication and the for Android and iOS. But today we are going to rely on iOS, because that's the device I have currently now, and that should take us maybe about 5 minutes to set up, and we talk a little bit about the authentication and we move on. So before we connect our app to Firebase, we need to have you need to have a Firebase account, and just go here, go to see all projects and create one here. I've already created for the Foda app here, so I'll just open it. And app to your Firebase dashboard is quite simple. So to add an app to your Firebase dashboard here is simple. So you just click here. Let me see what's going on our YouTube. Let's see how many people have connected. So let's see. Okay. Okay, so we are currently on the same page now. So as I was saying, we need to connect our iOS app to our Firebase dashboard, and to do so we need to add here. You click here, add app, and you see your the iOS logo here. You can just click on it and you start configuring your iOS app with your Flutter project. And here is our Flutter project here. So what you do is for you to go to your Xcode. If you're using Android Studio, you right click and you see going to open our Xcode. It's going to open our Xcode here, and what next we are going to do, we are going to okay, yeah, I was doing something here. So as I was saying, so you need to connect your Firebase to your Flutter app, and doing that you need to open your iOS on Xcode so you can be able to edit the project very fine. And doing it here, it's going to maybe can work, but it's not very friendly to do it here, because everything you need is on Xcode. You should just get Xcode and try to do that. I'll show you all the steps I'll need to take and how to do that. So the first thing you're going to do is for you to get your you need to get your bundle ID from here, and to get that you go to your runner here, and you go to runner, and you can just go to general, and you see your bundle ID here, bundle identifier. You can just copy that and go to your app and paste it here on the Firebase console. And on your app, on the app nickname is optional, but I'm going to just add Foda, and I'll call it iOS and register it. And the next thing is going to ask me to do is for me to download the Google services info.plist file. So I'm going to get that file and add it to our Xcode project. So this is going to act like a communicator that is going to help us connect with our Firebase. So I'm going to get that to our project. I'm going to download that and open that in our Finder. If you're using Finder, I'm going to drag that out here drag it out to my desktop, and I'm going to edit that because I have gotten a lot of plist file here, so I'm going to edit it. And one thing I'll do here is for me to push this to drag it to our runner here, and make sure that you've selected this runner, add to targets runner, and click on finish. So I've added that. I'll just remove this and I'll expand this more. And one more thing we are going to do, we are going to get those plugins from pub.dev and add it to our Flutter app. So we go to pub.dev, and when we go to pub.dev, what we are going to look for first is the Firebase core. Going to look for Firebase core, and here is Firebase core. So Firebase core is going to help us to connect our Firebase app to our Firebase console. That's our dashboard. So I'm going to get the copy the ID here and with the key as well, and go to our app on our pubspec.yml file here. Below our Cupertino icons where we have dependencies, we'll just paste it here, and we'll go and get one more. So we'll go here and still get one more. Since we want to talk about Firebase authentication, I'll get Firebase authentication. That will be Firebase auth. So I'm going to get copy Firebase auth and paste it here, and I'm going to paste it here and save that. And the next thing we are going to do is for us to, in our iOS folder, in the pod file here, we are going to uncomment this platform iOS. So I'm going to uncomment that. I'll just make this bigger. I'm going to uncomment that, and what I'm going to do here next is I'm going to add some other values here that is going to help run our Flutter project. So I'm going to get all of this from this project I'm currently running, and I'm going to paste it here. Here I'm going to paste it, and we don't need analytics, we don't need dynamic links, we just need Firebase auth. So I'm going to remove all of this. Later we're going to add all of that. So we just need only Firebase auth, and I'm going to change this to 10. To 10. So that's the platform iOS version will be running. And the next thing, we go to our projects. Okay, what's this saying? Just close this. We don't need this. So for us to go to our project and click on next, we are not adding anything here. Click on next and go back to our console. So what we are going to do next here is for us to close our Xcode, and I'm going to do one thing here. I'll go to my terminal. Since I'm using the Apple M1, I'm going to use this command here, arc, and I'm going to use this ARM command here, and I'm going to do pod update, and I'm all doing this in the iOS part. So I can just remove this, just clear, and I can just do pwd, and you see the path I'm at Foda and the iOS part. So I'll just go back, and I'm going to pod update all my pod files, so I'll get everything I need for the Firebase on my project here. So I'm going to wait for a while this so I'm going to get everything: Firebase auth, Firebase core. Yeah, I think it's done. So what next I'm going to do is for me to close this project. And what I'm going to do here, go back to my main and click on the debug. So you can click on debug here, or I'll just do it from F5 here. So I'm going to wait. While waiting, I'll just go to our project, and you can see here what we are going to do is for us to go to our authentication here. I have already enabled it, so if you're on a new project, it's going to ask you to enable it. You're going to enable it, and as well go to your authentication here, sign in method. So we are going to use password, email, and password for authentication, just like the UI is already said here. You can see when we have sign in, it's going to be email and password, and maybe sign up, you still see email and password. And as well, we have Google to sign in with Google. So we are going to enable the email and password since we already done that, and we are going to enable the Google sign in here as well. And I'm going to save that. So for you to actually do this for Google, we are going to enable one more thing, so you can support signing for Google on iOS. So I'm going to show you after our app is running fine. As you can see, our app is running fine, and we have successfully connected our app to Firebase. Now if I should connect to maybe Firestore and try to maybe send in some data, everything is going to work fine. So what next we are going to do is for us to connect it to add the support for our Google sign up. So to add the support for Google sign up is quite simple. You go back to your IS folder and open your Xcode. So you're going to open Xcode. I'm going to wait for some time while my Xcode opens. It's coming up. Okay, let me try to open that again. Hope it's not a duplicate. Okay, we'll just wait for some time. Okay. Okay, here it is. So it is here, and what we are going to do is for us to go here, and to make this work for Google sign up, we are going to get the client ID here, the reversed one, and we'll just copy that and go to our info plist. We are going to go to our info plist file. I'm going to show you what you're going to do on your info plist file here. Just give me a second while I just move this to my other screen. It's quite blocking a lot of things. So I'll just go back to the screen, and here in the info plist file, we are going to add one more thing here. So you're going to add URL types. So I'm going to copy this from my other projects so I don't waste time, and I'm going to paste it here. So this is the URL types. You're going to paste this, and everything is in this project. I'm going to remove all of this because we don't need them. I'm going to remove all of this, and we just need just one, and I'll just edit this and paste. Go back to our info.plist file, Google info, and copy this reverse client ID and paste it in here. Yeah, that's good. Okay, I'll just close that, and here, so everything is being connected. So what are we going to do next? So the next thing we are going to do is to start creating our services, our auth services. That's what we are going to do next. And to do that, you need to go to your services folder, and here is it. You go to your lib and to your services and create your auth service there. So I'm going to create an authentication service here, authentication service. So what the authentication service is going to do is going to control everything about the auth on our app. It's going to hold all the code that control the login, control the sign up with Google, control this login with password, and everything about our user and authentication in the app. So let's do that, and I'm going to close this window, bring this down, and this is going to be authentication service. Our authentication service is going to be a singleton class in the sense that we just want to initialize it once, and after that we initialize it on start of the app. We're going to use it throughout the app without creating another instance of it. So that's what we are going to do, and I'm going to call this authentication class, not authentication class, authentication service. Call it authentication service. And the next thing here we are going to do is to make this singleton. You guys might be saying, why am I not using get it? Yeah, I'm going to use get it, but I just want this to be a unique singleton class that only initialize once. So let's do that, and we are going to create a private constructor. This is how you create a private constructor, by using the underscore here after the dot here. And the next thing we are going to do is to create a static variable, and it's going to be called underscore instance of this, and we are going to create a static getter as well, and we are going to call this the instance, and this is the instance, and this is private, but this is the instance, and this is public. So we are going to be using this public. So for us to be using this public, we have to do something. We are going to do an if here. If the instance is null, if this instance here is null, we should assign it to the private constructor, and else we return the private instance and this. So that has come up with a new syntax for this, and I'll just click and you can just see it. This is syntax for all those statements we just wrote. So the next thing we are going to do now is for us to define our Firebase auth now. So I'm going to do final auth, and I'm going to get Firebase auth. I'm going to get that, and I'm going to get the instance of that. And the next thing I'm going to do is for us to actually also get the Google. Let's get the Google auth provider as well. Google auth provider. For this we need to get the Google plugin, Firebase Google plugin for it. So let's do that before we proceed to anything. The next thing we're going to do here is for us to just get Google sign in. So let's just get that. Let's go in here and we get it. So just go to our Firebase popspec.html and also add it to our dependencies here. Just save that. So the next thing here is for us to get this. So while this is loading, we'll just do other stuff. Okay, it's done. So let's just get that Google auth provider, and we'll just get Google auth provider. Let's get it as a private, and Google auth provider, and yeah, we're going to use it. Not now. This should be final. And the next thing we're going to do is for us to detect if we are actually using a Google sign-in or not. So this is going to be a bool, and we are going to use a getter for this. So we are going to call this is Google provider. So we're going to call it Google provider Firebase auth, and we are going to get the current user and as well get .com. So that means is this user signed in with a Google account. So we can just do something like this for us not to use this try and catch. We can just do this just do if this the length is greater than 1, or the length is greater than 0. Yeah, we can use this and we can just return this. And else we return false. So was the use is empty. Okay, that's simple syntax we should use. It's not empty. Should be it's not empty. So if we call this, if this returns true, that means the user actually signed in with the Google account, using the Google Google credentials to sign in. So that's the use of this. And one more thing we are going to write here is, let's check if the email the user is providing is actually signed into our account, to our Firebase server or not. So we are going to do that. This is going to be a feature, and this is going to return a boolean, and we are going to call this function. This method is email in use. That's what we're going to call it, and we're going to pass in a string, and this string is going to be email. And in this string, in this function here, we are going to make this a synchronous function. And the next thing here we're going to do is for us to check if the email contains @. So we are going to check that. At least we just do a little check, though we are going to do that on the UI side too, but let's just do it here. And also the length of it using this is 2. That means what I'm trying to do here, like let me say hello.povin. So it contains 2. That means we can have maybe .com here, and we might have @ here, at a specific, maybe a domain. Yeah, so that's what we're going to use the split here for. So I'm going to use split here, dots, and I'm going to use dots, and the length is greater than 2. Okay, let's use less than. It's less than 2, and here we are going to return we are going to print. Let's just print, or let's return false. Let's return false and then print. Let's print something here. Let's print invalid email. So we need to do all the check, and the next is going to do, we are going to do a try and cache here. The next, and this try and cache, we are going to get a list of string, which is users, list of string, and we are going to call these users, and we are going to await for the auth, and we are going to fetch signing method, and I'm going to pass in the email. And I'm going to trim this email before we use it, in case it contains any spaces. The next thing here we're going to do is we're going to check if the users is not empty. So we're going to check that. If it's not empty, we return true. That means this user exists, and else we return false. So the email is not in use. And let's just do this on this file. We don't get all of those things. And the next thing here we are going to do is the login. So we are going to create the login function. When you call this login, you are going to pass in the email and the password, and we are going to authenticate that user and get the user UID and all of those things. So let's do that. We are going to create a function that's going to return a Firebase user. We can call this user. This is the Firebase user, and this is going to be called login, and we are going to pass in the email, and as well pass in the password. That's what we're going to do. And it's going to be an async. That means it's going to make a network request, and I'm going to wrap this on a try and cache. So what the try and cache basically does is to cache if there is any error. It's going to cache it on the cache block, and if there is no error, the try block is going to run to the end. That's what the try and cache is going to do here. And we're going to use the user credential here, and this is going to be final, and we're going to get auth results. Call this auth results, and we are going to await on the auth, and we're going to sign in with password, sign in with email and password. So I'm going to look for that. Sign in with email and password. Where is it? There you go. And here, so here we are going to get the auth results, and here we're going to check if the auth results, the user in this auth result is not null, and if this user is not null, we are going to return that user. We're going to return it user, and this could be null, and so we need to somehow make this null here, and this could be null. So let's try to keep our app out from null values. So I'll just remove this here, and since this is not null, we are going to get this like this. And the next thing here is going to be what are we going to do here if this is null? Since this is going to be non-null, we need to keep this on null. So let's keep it on null, and and if we throw the cache, we are going to check all of that and bring the required results, like check on the UI if it's returned null, and we know what to do on that. We're going to get to that part. So I'm going to print the error here, so we see the error. The next function here is going to be sign up. So the next function is going to be sign up, and this is going to be future, and we are also going to return user, and this user could be null. And the next thing here is going to give it a name, sign up, and here we are going to pass in an email, and also pass in password. So when a user is logging in just from the UI like this, maybe sign up, okay, sign up is going to pass in his email and password. So that's what we are doing here, and this is going to make a network call, and we are going to put this in a try and cache block. And the thing we are going to do, we can just copy this, and here what we are going to do is to sign up instead. Sign up, or it's called create user with email and password. So that's what this is called, and we are going to do the same check here. Let's just copy here and use that. I'm going to do the same check. So we are going to do the same check. If we return, if else we return no. So, and the next thing we are going to do here is we are going to do reset password. So if a user clicks somewhere to reset his password, let's check on the sign in if it's there. Let's go to sign in. Okay, reset password is not there, so let's just keep that aside. The next thing we are going to do, if the that is not here, we are going to do for the Google account. So when a user click on this sign in with Google, we are going to authenticate his Google account and all of that. So let's do that. So I'm going to go back to our project authentication service, and I'm going to create a new method called, I'm going to call it sign in user with Google credential. That was going to be the first function, and this is going to return a user credential. And I'm going to call this future, and this is going to return user credential, and this could be null. And the next thing we are going to provide here in let's call it the name. Let's give it the name first. User sign in with user credential, with user credential. And the next thing we're going to do here is going to do Google auth provider, and that's what we are going to pass in, and are going to make this an asynchronous method, and we're going to wrap this in a try and cache. And what we're going to do next is to get a final field there that is called Google sign-in account, and that's what you're going to call it, Google sign-in account. You're going to call it this Google user, and here we are going to await and Google sign-in. We're going to get this Google sign-in, and we are going to get sign in. This could be null, yes. And the next thing we are going to get here is the Google sign in authentication. So let's get that Google sign in authentication, and we're going to call this Google auth, and we are going to await for the Google user, and we're going to get it. Await for Google user, and we're going to get the authentication here, and we're going to add this. And the next thing here we're going to do is actually create a credential out of this. Let's create a credential. Create a credential. This should be a name, the class name, and we're going to create this Google auth provider, and we are going to do credential, and we are going to pass in some parameters. So we are going to get the auth and pass the access token. This could be null, and ID token. So we're going to get that and pass in the ID token. And the thing we're going to do here next is to return. We're going to return something here. Before doing the return, we are going to get the user credential, and we await that, and we call on the auth, and we do sign in with credential, and we pass in the credential. And what we are going to do, we are going to return that credential, user credential, return it. And here we can just return null. And this could go wrong, and let's just print something. If it goes wrong, let's print the error it gives. So the next thing here we are going to do, after writing this, we're going to do Google sign in. So that's the main method we are going to call. This should be private. Okay, let's just make this private. And so let's do, this is going to return a Firebase user. So this is going to contain the Firebase username. It's going to contain the email, contain the name of that Google user and everything. And this could be null, and we'll just do Google sign in. Google sign in, and this is not going to take any parameter, and we're going to mark this as an async, and we're going to have a try and cache. And in here we are going to do Google auth provider, and we're going to do auth provider and Google auth provider. So we have created that. Let's say we have that. I think we have that here, Google auth provider. We can use this, or we can just create a new one down here. Let's use the one down here instead. Let's use this. To do this, we'll just create a new file and call this user credential. user credential, if I can spell that, and we are going to await for our private method, and we are going to pass in the auth provider, this auth provider here, and we are going to check if this user credential is actually contains a user. Yes, it does contain a user, and if it is null or not. So let's check that. If this is null, if this is not null, we're going to return the user. I'm going to call this can just do return here, and we print if there is any error that comes. So we are done with the Google sign-in. So if we call this Google sign-in, this should actually return us with a user. When a user clicks on this, they should authenticate the user, check the user if he already has a Google account signed in, or it pop up a browser window that the user can enter his credential, and we can sign that user in with his Google account. And that's what we are going to do next. And the next thing here we are going to do is for us to actually check if auth changes. Let's check the auth changes. So this is going to be a stream. I'm not going to it's just going to be like 2 lines here. It's going to be a stream. So this is going to check if there is a current user in the app or not. So maybe a user logs out, we can just listen to the auth changes from Firebase auth plugin, and it will give us either a user is logged in or not. So that's what we're going to do here, and this is going to return a user and no other user, Firebase user. So it's going to be auth states, let's just call it that way, and this is going to return the auths we have, which is Firebase auth and auth changes. So we'll just remove this. So we've gotten all of this, and what else should we have? Okay, let me check you guys out if you guys are actually here. Let's see. Let's see. Okay, people are here. Okay, so let's continue. The next thing here we are going to do is for us to create a repository for our user. So this is going to do the work of connecting to Firebase and maybe retrieving our user document from Firebase database and all the rest, pushing data and retrieving. So that's all the thing our user repository is going to be doing. So but first let's just test the authentication service and see how things goes here. So I'll just take this authentication service. To test this, I'll just go to our UI, which is screens, and I'll go to onboard and look for we have this sign up here. So I'll just call that here. I'll just do Firebase authentication service instance, and I'll just do what should I do? Let's do sign up. Okay, I made a typo mistake here, and sign up. Go back here. Let's paste this, and I want to sign in with this user, hello.paulvin@gmail.com. I'm going to pass in a password here, 123, and I'm going to do it then here. So, and it's going to return, and if value, which is the value is actually user. If this is not null, we are going to print the user email. just do signed up user, and we are going to get the email. We can get that from the value, which is the user, and here's the email. And let's run this. So when we click on the sign up here, we should see on the console that we have. Let me just write one more print statement here. I'll just call this trying to sign in. Okay, I'll go to our debug console and restart this. Restart it. Here we are again. I'll click on sign up. Okay, no Firebase app. Okay, glad we actually got this one. Okay, and yeah, before we do this, we need to go to our main here. We need to call on something. We need to call on Firebase core. So it's going to be Firebase. You get the Firebase, and we're going to initialize Firebase app. So that's what that error actually is. And this, we are going to convert this main to an async and make this. I'll wait for this. And before we do this, we are going to do widgets Flutter binding, ensure initialization, and it's going to be like this: widgets Flutter binding, ensure initialization, and I'm going to rerun this. Let's see. Okay, trying to sign in and sign up user. Okay, I'm all in. If I go to a dashboard here and go to authentication, you should see my email and my UID. So that's how we are going to do it. And maybe just some seconds or maybe minutes, I'm going to connect our app to Android. So our Firebase app to Android, and so we can roll with that. So I hope you understand what I just did, and if you are not clear, you can just comment on the comment section, either on Facebook or on YouTube, and on where you're not cleared, and I'll just clear it up. That's how we are going to roll. We have set up our authentication service. The next thing we're going to do is for us to connect our app, our Android app, to Firebase as well, since we have iOS here. And from there we can have our user repositories, talk a little about get it, and as well start connecting, doing some functionalities, and controlling the state of our apps and everything we need to do. Yeah, it's going to be fun, and yeah, it's going to be fun, right? Like really fun if you are also working on it too. So like you're actually following it. It's there on GitHub. You can check it out. I have the link here. I'm going to add the link on the description, so you check it out. That's just it. I'm going to update you guys with the Android connection to Firebase. You guys should stay tuned. Peace.